You're listening to Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Hello.
Well, we're back. Once again, we had a couple of weeks off.
Y'all know us by now.
Yeah. We get it together a couple of times a month, usually, at least.
Our hearts are in the right place.
We shoot for weekly, and we get bi-weekly, and hopefully you're not mad at us about that.
Yeah. If you are, let us know. But say it nicely.
Yeah. Always want feedback, but, couched in flattery.
Yes. Only.
Well, so I think what we're going to do is, since we're right up at the end of the year, we're going to go back and do as everybody does, and do a retread of all of the stuff that we've really liked. Maybe some things that we would tell you to skip on if you haven't seen them or read them or heard about them yet.
I think that information is just as helpful.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I like it when somebody tells me, no, you're
Don't
not
even
going to
worry about it. Yeah.
And there's so many things now. As I was going through, it's just nuts. It really is bonkers how much there is in terms of from fiction and nonfiction to YA, and then you get into shows and movies and podcasts, and it's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So,
even I was looking at my favorite picture books of the year. That alone, and there were some that I was like, there's no way this came out this year.
Yes.
That was years ago.
Oh, yeah. No, as I was going through, and just to remind me, I was looking through my notes, and then I was looking through Goodreads, and I was looking at other best ofs and stuff, and I was like, wow, that was a year ago. That's insane. So we'll do a little dive backwards, and next time on the next episode we'll talk about the stuff that we're looking forward to.
Yes,
there's also a ton of that, so buckle up.
Yep,
this may last a while.
Yep, we're gonna sift through as best we can.
So the first, and I think we've already talked about it, but I want to bring up, because we've just been watching it the past couple of weeks, is the limited series on HBO, Station 11. And, of course, if you're listening to this, you probably recall in 2018, Station 11 was our chosen book for the Big Read. And we had a month-long series of events that were related to that book, and a lot of fun stuff. And it was only our second Big Read ever, and so it has a special place in our hearts.
Yeah, that was just before I started here January 2019, so y'all had just wrapped up your Station 11 stuff.
Yes. And
now that I've been a part of the Big Read for 3 years now, oh my gosh. I'm just now that I know what goes into it, and what kind of things come out of it, I'm really sad I missed the Big Read that year.
Yes.
I adored that book. I feel like I know what you're about to say, but I really am loving the series so far.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, yes, 100%. If you're a purist, I will say this. And I'm not one, but I know a lot of people are. A lot of readers have very strong feelings about the books that they love.
Yeah.
And they don't want people messing with them. This one's been messed with.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think that the heart of the story, the main characters, they're all there.
Totally.
It's just kind of presented in a little bit different way.
Yeah. Most of which I can get on board with. I think they do, are beneficial on screen. There were a few minor things I was kind of Yeah. Yeah, there's always the challenge of taking something from the page to the screen, where when we've talked about this with this series in particular, there's a couple of things that are in the novel that would be really hard to get across just through images and stuff. So I can totally see why. And the writer and creator of the series is Patrick Somerville, and he also wrote Maniac, which was a really cool limited series, and then The Leftovers and Made for Love. That's right.
And Made for Love is on my list of best of the year, which that's another one that seems like it was 1,000 years ago. But
I missed that one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's
Okay.
It's worth it. Yeah. It's pretty wacky.
I should have brought a notebook because I always get ideas from you. And this is like...
I'll give you my notes.
Okay.
But there's also a podcast with Patrick Somerville about the series.
Cool.
Which I haven't started yet, but and I kind of want to... I'll probably go back to it once the series is over.
Yeah.
So survival is insufficient is the tagline and the episode title of the first episode. And so it's just brilliant. I love
it really is. And I was kind of worried that, I know that some people with COVID, their way of coping was to watch and read all of the pandemic stories.
Yes.
I was the opposite. I mean, I've avoided all of that until revisiting the Station 11 series. And I don't know. I was able to handle it, but I love the story so much, and I know it's going to happen. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we really have talked about it the last couple of years, but when we chose Station 11, and I don't think we had even announced it, but we'd chosen the book and we were starting the grant process, and the newspaper headline the next day was flu pandemic has hit. And of course we were like, oh, that's crazy. But that was the flu pandemic of 20 whatever.
So cute.
Yeah. So, it came back again, obviously, to bite us. But we thought it was really ironic at the time. But
totally. Oh my God. I mean, that's hilarious.
We got our extra helping of irony on that one.
Oh.
So then there's another series that I've been enjoying recently. Mythic Quest. It's funny. It's Rob McElhaney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes.
He's the main character and the producer. And he plays this creative director of a video game.
Okay.
And a computer game. And so it's real nerdy. It's a comedy.
You're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
But I just finished watching I guess it's in the third season, I think it's just 2.
Okay.
But I finished them, and so I wanted to bring that up as if you're into that kind of stuff. It does some really inventive things. There's a flash sideways episode, flashback kind of adjacent to the main story. I don't know if that sounds intriguing to you, but trust me, at first I was like, am I watching a different show? This is one of those that cut to something else.
Sometimes I hate that. Sometimes I love it. Yeah.
It worked out for this one, I think, but definitely.
What is it on? What streaming service?
Apple Plus, I think. Yeah. Cool. And then there's some others that are maybe a little more iffy. These are just recent ones.
Okay.
So I want to mention them, then we'll get into our best
stuff. We'll get nostalgic after this.
Okay. So I watched Don't Look Up, Adam McKay film.
Did too.
With Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep and everybody.
Kate Blanchett. Yeah.
And I don't really know what to say about it.
I know.
It was funny.
Yeah. I didn't dislike it.
Right.
I also didn't love it.
Yes. It would be really hard to love that
film. I know. I think that's what it is. I mean, I don't know. Can I just say it made me feel kind of weird? Can that just be my...
Yes. Makes you feel
weird. It was
weird.
entertaining and made me feel weird.
I think part of it is that the humor is pretty broad.
Yeah.
And it's, a parody.
Yeah.
But it's so really real.
It's not enough of a parody.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
Because you couldn't go further out of a parody than this. So it was really real, supposed to be a parody, but too close to home.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know, it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are scientists who discover a comet on its way directly to Earth, and we have 6 months until it hits. And no one will listen to them, essentially. And, I was telling somebody, maybe it was even you, that, had this movie come out even 5 years ago, it would have been fully hilarious.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Because we were still thinking, something like that so far removed. And people, trust science and all that kind of stuff.
No, I'm just like, we're all dead.
What's going to happen to us? Yes, so...
Take that.
Yes.
For what?
Yes.
However you want, yeah.
However you want. It's worth watching, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple of things that are maybe not worth. So I pandemic watched The Witcher, the first season last year.
Okay, you're the third person to bring that up in the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. One person who brought it up was a girl who worked at Ollie's, and she was very passionate about it, and she clearly had no coworkers to talk to about it. So she was like telling me and my sister, "You guys watch it and then come back here and we'll talk." I was like, I can't make that promise. Yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
But anyway, okay, I'm interested to
So
hear you talk about it more.
I kept as I was watching it. So season 2 just came out.
Right.
It's on Netflix. It stars Superman.
Yeah,
and. It, for the longest time, I was like, what is this reminding me of? It just seemed derivative. And then this last season, I realized what it was.
What is it?
I don't know if you remember the TV shows Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess.
I really
That's
do.
what this show reminds me of. The acting level, the like costumes and makeup.
Because that was the 90s.
It was super cheesy. I mean, I actually kind of loved Xena.
Yeah.
But
and I don't mind some cheese,
Yeah. But it only The Witcher only has and this is maybe controversial opinion, but
yeah.
I mean, the marginally better effects and stuff than what that old TV show had that came on in the middle of the night.
Right.
Like, I couldn't with it.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would not necessarily recommend The Witcher.
It feels like a lot. I mean, when you go to Netflix, they have the series, but then they have all these other I can't really tell what it is, if it's just kind of promotional
I don't even know.
Interviews with people. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It was
I have not explored that.
A lot of scrolling.
Yeah. It's pretty cheesy.
Okay.
And then I I watched half of an episode of Cowboy Bebop.
We did the same thing.
Which apparently I was just talking to a friend about it right after I watched it.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it already got canceled.
I know, that's what Nick said. Nick, he's not even, I wouldn't call him an anime fan. He watched Avatar, and then he watched the original Cowboy Bebop anime series and loved it. Was so excited for this, and poor thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the soundtrack was kind of fabulous 60s. Harold from Harold and Kumar got ripped for this.
Yep. Yeah, he did. He looked pretty good.
I mean, that was pretty much
I know.
the best things I can say.
I know. Didn't pull me in because I liked the way it looked. I don't know. I wanted it to be good.
Yes. Yeah. Not so much. And then there's a series actually came out a couple of years ago, and I can't even remember where it was streaming, but it's called How to Build a Girl. And it's based on a book by that title by Caitlin Moran, which I liked. And she's written other books since then, a lot of memoir.
Okay.
How to be a woman, how to be famous, things like that. And she was like a essayist, memoirist, music critic early in her career. And she's kind of fabulous, but the series, it's about her as a young woman.
Okay.
Not so great, but... we'll move on from that one. But Caitlin Moran, if you're into that kind of before the pejorative term girl boss.
Yes.
She was sort of the one who was
cool
writing that kind of stuff. So let's get into the best of
looking at the year.
Yep, 2021. And I don't know, I'll start with books. And there are a few. And there were some that I went back and I thought, wow, I didn't realize that was just this year.
Yeah.
But Clara and the Sun by Katsuo Ishiguro. Sad, lonely, depressing, beautiful. I'm just going to keep going with the adjective.
I get the feel.
Yeah. It's really kind of hard to describe. It's kind of a speculative fiction, and it's about like an AI robot. Basically, in this universe, every child is like assigned a friend that's an AI,
I remember this.
And so Clara she's like it starts out and she's in the store waiting for somebody to pick her, and just right there, like that is just so the only thing that she can see is like a little portion of the outside, and so anyway. And she gets to be in the window, but then they move her away from the window. Aww. And so that's usually like meaning that she didn't get picked. So she's never
going to get picked. Yeah.
So just really gut-wrenching, and also, has that fantasy element.
Yeah.
Very highly regarded book.
Cool.
And we've talked about these several times, but we still are recommending them to people. There's sort of 3 books that we read this past year about Final Girls.
Oh, yes.
And the Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix, Final Girls by Riley Sager, and My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones.
Still need to read the Heart is a Chainsaw.
I think it's the best.
Yeah?
No, I know. It's definitely the best
Amazing.
one.
Cool.
Really, really good. All of them. And like the concept, it's just funny that they all came out. Like, why did this become a thing for everybody to write novels about?
It's so interesting. Well, and it kind of reminds me, I'm going slightly off topic, but like I mentioned to you yesterday, that whole I read an article about why Mary Bailey is the true hero of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
And it kind of makes me think of that same thing, just sort of looking at these women that are a part of these stories, and like, what is that really like? I mean, what are they really going through?
Exactly. It's flipping the script and looking at something from a different point of view.
Yeah.
So it's timely in that sense, for sure. And in case you haven't followed what we're talking about, Final Girl is, as a film term, basically, because in horror films, I mean, almost down to a 1. Like, you could go through, like, the most famous horror films. There's usually a girl at the end who has somehow eluded the killer, whatever, the monster.
Yeah.
And
survived. Lives happily ever after, right?
Right.
Wrong.
Right. It's rough to be the final girl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It turns out there's a lot of trauma that comes from that.
Yes.
Well, and one thing I thought that was interesting, like you talking about these movies, these that are so specific, I was thinking about Final Girl Support Group, and I realized that some, if not all of the women, like their stories, I think are loosely based on
film series.
Yeah. I mean, one was like, okay, this girl from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right. This one that happened at a camp, Friday the 13th.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. There's definitely Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember what else, but they all are derivative.
Yeah, yeah.
And not in a bad sense. Not derivative.
No, I mean, this is sort of it's a character, it's a trope. And,
yeah. And I think that I like, being a film buff, I like books and movies where there's a love for the other form of media.
Yeah.
So
totally.
This book is written for film nerds.
Yes.
It's like, so that you can read it if you're not.
Yeah.
There's plenty of like action and stuff happening and intrigue.
Absolutely.
But you also get the payoff if you know all of this stuff about these films, that you can pick up on all of these things that or that they're drawing from.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about Final Girl Support Group since I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So highly,
yes,
those are all great. And a couple of those were not written this year, but we read them this year. So we'll make that caveat. Yeah. Not all of these have been published in 2021, but
we're making the rules, folks.
That's right. Another book that I really liked is written by Patrick Somerville, who we were just talking about, The Universe in Miniature. And I'm just going to leave it there. I think if that sounds good to you, pick it up.
Yep.
Metafiction, contemporary dealings with stuff. If that sounds like something you would want to read that.
Cool.
Good. Then there's a graphic novel by Alison Bechdel called The Secret to Superhuman Strength. And Alison Bechdel is like a writer, cultural critic. And when we talked about this before in one of the previous episodes, I mentioned that in film, again, this is like another film geek tie-in, the Bechdel test is like a rating system for films. If they pass the test, then it's considered that the film is more considerate of female characters.
Oh, okay.
So the Bechdel test is basically, there a scene in which two women are talking to each other and they're not talking about a man?
Yeah, that count. That's that's included.
And if you start looking for things like that, especially in older films, it's real hard to find.
I imagine I'd be, pretty let down.
Yes. So, but in this book, she's writing about her, basically like her health and how she has used different kinds of like activity to care for herself, to care for her mental health, and stuff like that. And that's the best way I can think to describe it, but it's really thoughtful and smart.
Neat.
And another book that I really liked was The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. Basically, he takes these like major breakthroughs and concepts and ideas and then gives them like a review of 4 stars, 5 stars, or whatever.
Nice.
So it's smart and like, you actually get a ton of information, but it's also cheeky and fun.
I love it.
Yeah. And then the final one I'll mention is, and again, we know that there were lots more. There's lots more out there that could be on this list.
Of course, yes.
But Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl is one that I talked about on a previous episode, and it's she, like, I don't know, maybe probably 15, close to 20 years ago, wrote her first book as like a very young woman, and that was Special Topics in Calamity Physics was the name of that book. And so she got real famous really young, and then she's written several books since then. But Neverworld Wake is hard to say.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was gonna.
But it's another like speculative fiction, fantasy kind of fiction, about this group of friends that kind of gets stuck in this moment in time, and they have to figure out how to get out of it.
I remember you talking about this one too.
Yeah. And then, so is there any books or anything that you want to bring up for this year before we go into movies and shows?
At I didn't do, I didn't make notes like you did.
Yes, I know. I'm just springing this on you.
No.
Pop quiz.
But I was just kind of thinking about like looking at juvenile fiction. I think I would say these were not published in 2021, but I read them in 2021. I really loved. I don't know if is it a series? If it's 2 books.
Maybe.
For some reason.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it has to be 3 at least.
I know that to me. I was gonna say it feels like it's anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is
Companions.
a 2-part. Yeah, these are companion books. The first one is The War That Saved My Life, and the second part is The War I Finally Won. Just lovely, lovely books, and I've thought a lot about them since I read them. I actually listened to them, and they were really, really wonderful to listen to. So they were so sweet, really sweet, wonderful stories.
The one that you were talking about yesterday that we were looking at yesterday.
My picture books. Oh my gosh,
it was so cute and smart.
It's a picture book called The Little Wooden Robot and oh goodness, now I'm
is it Wood Princess or
the little? It's a wooden princess and a log, or a wooden robot and a log princess.
Yes,
excuse me. But anyway, it's a picture book, and it's a fairy tale that I think we didn't know we needed, and it is, it's so original and sweet and thoughtful, and oh my gosh, I read it at Storytime today, and I wasn't sure, because it was a little longer than what I normally read, and so I wasn't sure if it would hold attention, And it did pretty well. Like, they were, at one point, somebody, like, gasped. I was like, that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
So I'll get the correct title for it.
I think that's right. I think that's what it is. But definitely. And what we were talking about is that it's nice when you find books like that, or I imagine that it's nice for parents when the book is something that an adult can appreciate on a level that the kids probably aren't picking up.
Totally.
But, because if you're just, especially with kids, you have to read the same books to them over and over again. Hopefully it's going to be one that you're going to be...
You don't totally hate.
Yes. Even if you'll eventually probably hate it, but...
Yes.
I thought it was
The Little
remarkable.
Wooden Robot and The Log Princess.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Super cute. Let's see. So, movies and shows. I have a long list. I'm not going to go... I think almost all of them we've talked about at some point.
Okay.
But I did want to just kind of run through my list because...
Yes. Let's go. I won't try to... have comments for everything.
Well, no, you can, totally. But I'm going to start with the ones that I saw most recently. The Matrix Resurrections, which... Even as I watched it with my sister, even as we were like pressing start, we were like, it's going to be okay if this is terrible.
We won't have our hearts broken.
We had very, very limited hopes about this.
Good for you.
But if you're a Matrix fan, I was like Matrix super fan in 1999 when that film came out, the first one. The other two broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't live up to the promise of the first one. And so this one, while it is not, the original.
Right.
It's very knowingly, winkingly is kind of recreating some of that spirit from the first one.
Okay, cool.
And so we thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very good.
And
funny. It was way funnier by far than
I always
the original.
Appreciate that, especially like an action or something that's a little bit more, I don't know, serious.
Yes.
I don't know. Love my comedy.
Yeah.
At all times. But I was going to ask, so do I need to watch the first one or even the first three to understand this one or follow it? Or, like, what's it like if you just dive in? I've seen them.
You can just dive in.
I just have not seen them all the time. But you can just dive in.
It refers back to the previous... In fact, it includes footage from the previous films.
Okay.
So I think it does give you enough of a taste of that. Like, even if you were just starting it without having seen any of the others... It's not going to have the same meaning, but you would be able to follow it.
It's not totally lost on you?
No,
okay,
no.
Cool.
No, you can... In fact, at certain points, we were like, are they giving this too much of it? Like, how much of this are we going to see? We know. We saw the first one,
Okay. Yeah, I kind of hate that whenever I am in the know.
They do that in series a lot. But this one, it was... like giving a twist to some of that original stuff. And like I said, it's like knowingly was doing this.
Yeah.
So at first we were concerned, but then it made sense as it went along.
Good to know.
And then recently we talked about Tick, Tick, Boom, musical, really good. I can't remember if we talked about The Power of the Dog, but
I don't remember.
It's a really slow moving dark Western with Benedict Cumberbatch as the main character, or one of them.
I think I know what you're talking about now, but I can't remember if we talked about it.
I really have never seen anything quite like it, because the whole movie, I mean, it's like halfway through it, I was like, this is a test. Can I finish this film?
Oh gosh. Is Kirsten Dunst in it?
Yes.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about. Sorry, keep going.
And her real life husband is the third lead.
Interesting. Okay.
And so I can't think of his name, but he and Cumberbatch play brothers.
Yes.
And she's the wife of the other guy, not Benedict.
Okay.
And it just builds to like the last 2 minutes of the film, and then you go, oh, okay.
This is all worth it.
I don't know about worth it, but I could see, it was like, okay, now I get it. And I've never really experienced a film like that, and I think that's what is coming through, and I've looked at a lot of reviews of it, because I was just curious, and that seems to be what people are taking from it. They're like, okay, now we get what they were doing.
Yeah, I see what y'all were trying to do.
But, I don't know. At my advanced age, I'm very conscious of every passing moment of my life.
You're like,
do I want to do this?
What could I have done with that time? Yeah.
Exactly. Could we have just given me the summary and then show me the last 2 minutes, and then I'd been like, okay.
Yeah.
No,
maybe that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I've sacrificed a lot so that all of us can just
exactly
make the smart decision.
Yes. But once I saw the end, I thought, okay,
I'll accept it.
Yeah, I will not, kick it out the door or whatever. I'll take it. And then I also talked about the documentary from Questlove, Summer of Soul, which about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. It has footage from that. It's just unbelievable, and it's great documentary. And then this is one that I couldn't believe was just this year, but Palm Springs.
That was this year. That was. I'd need to think about it, but it might have been my favorite comedy of the year.
Yeah.
It was
good.
Such a funny movie. It was really good. I mean, it was one of those that was like, I feel like we've seen this story before, but then you watch it and you haven't.
No, yeah. It starts out that way for sure. In fact, there were quite a few series and shows like that.
It was like a teen version, Map of Tiny Perfect something.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, very similar to that.
I didn't watch it, but...
I think it is a Map of Tiny Perfect Things or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just kind of saying words and hoping they went together.
Well, you did it. And then, of course, Bo Burnham, Inside.
Yes.
I think I watched that. I watched it multiple times, for sure.
Really, really loved
it. Yeah.
And it's another one that I've thought about a lot. It's the music is catchy.
The music is good, and if I'm sitting at home and like doing something else, and then I think about it, I turn it on.
Yeah,
because I'm like,
so good.
I need to hear that again.
Anything and everything, all of the time. I mean, I'm gonna sing that for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, there's so many things like that. Yeah. It just really, he's gonna have a hard time topping that.
Yeah,
is what I'm gonna say.
Was that his magnum opus?
Because then, right, he's like 30 years old.
Yeah, I know.
He literally turns 30.
I know.
Well. But that's for a lot of us. We go downhill after that. I mean,
31 downhill from here.
Oh yeah. But yeah, because then I looked, because I had thought, oh, he's amusing because he'd been doing stand-up acts since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, that's funny. And then I looked back and watched some of them.
Yeah.
They're okay. They don't hold up as well.
It's been a while.
But this really, I think, is going to have lasting impact. And it's such a, like, almost literally a time capsule of the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny and vulnerable. And, I mean, like, really kind of shocking at times and worrying at times. But anyway, it was...
something for everyone.
It really is, yeah. It's so funny. It's great.
Then there's, as I mentioned, Made for Love, which is the same actress from Palm Springs. And she's married to this, like, tech bazillionaire, and they live in, like, a bubble, basically. And she escapes because she doesn't want to live this weird, quote-unquote perfect, untouchable lifestyle. So it's also funny and pretty wild. Yeah. And then on the drama side, there's Mayor of Easttown, which was good.
Yes, it was.
You, which is not really drama. You is, it was season 3 came out this year.
That's right.
And... it's dark, but it's funny. It's meant to. It's played so that it's funny,
right?
And but if you just like take like this is what happens in this episode, you'd be like, wow, that's terrible. Yeah. But it's like a Dexter kind of dark humor.
Yeah, it's one I need to jump back into.
Yeah. Let's see. And Search Party, is similar to that.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
And that has another final season coming out like next week or something, and then really soon.
That's what I have to get back into too. I think when I was watching it, something happened that made me feel uneasy, and sometimes I'll just turn things off.
I definitely
when
do
that happens,
yeah.
and I did that, and then I think you told me about like, no, you need to stick with it, and so I need to. It's enjoyable.
It did. It went fully off the rails. I mean, it went so hard to like some other realm.
Yeah.
But I want to know what's going to happen. And then Ted Lasso, which is another one that I did not have any expectations for. I did not think I was going to like it. It's about soccer.
No, I know.
Or, it's about a soccer team. And I just thought, why are people consuming this? So, like, why are they love this so much? And then I watched the first 2 seasons and I fully got it. And then at the end, this last, like the most recent, like episodes.
I haven't finished, so.
I'm not going to say any spoiler, but it took a turn.
Okay.
So I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm open-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was such a delightful surprise. It's funny because Summer, who works here at the library, I'm sure people know Miss Summer. She was the first person who ever told me about it. And like, I remember her telling me what it was about, and I was like, it's funny that Summer's watching. Like, because again, it doesn't seem
this
like
weird
something...
sports show.
Yeah, but I would say she has similar television taste to you and I. And so I always had that in the back of my mind. I was like, well, Summer really liked it.
If she likes it, then
yeah. And I'm glad I listened to her because it's lovely.
Yes. And then there was WandaVision.
That's right.
Which I really enjoyed. And I'm not a fan of all the... I mean, I'm not against the whole universe or whatever, the Marvel stuff. But I was not a super fan, and I didn't know much about those characters at all. Yeah. And
it took me a little bit to get into it, but once I knew what they were doing, I was about it.
Yeah. It's it's beautiful to look at. It's shot in this really unique way, and it's funny and
Elizabeth
touching.
Olsen is so talented. I mean, her, she plays this sort of cliche like mom on these like different, I don't know, eras of sitcoms moms, and she nailed every single one.
Yeah.
I mean, the motions, the cadence in her voice. I mean, I became such a fan of hers because of this show.
Yeah, and playing something that's kind of broad like that, where you're like the 50s housewife or whatever, but then having like this real subtle emotion that comes through that's pretty amazing.
Hard to do. Yeah.
Then there was Squid Game.
Which I never watched.
Oh, I'm not recommending that people watch it, but it was such a huge thing.
A moment in time.
Yeah.
Like
everybody that I know binged it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure maybe some people didn't, but everybody I talked to said, I sat down to watch it and I just watched the whole thing.
Yeah, Nick started watching it without me, which is why I ultimately haven't watched it. I just don't think it's one I want to watch alone, but I think he sort of resented me a little bit because he had to turn it off when I got home from work. I couldn't keep watching it.
Oh no, I would have just I would have said you go into another room.
Yeah. That's true love right there.
Yeah. In fact, some of the people that I've talked to have been couples where only one of them watched it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, you have to have the stomach for it, I think.
Yeah. It's one, like, I think I'd need a buffer person to kind of, like, tell me when this is over kind of thing.
Yeah. It's definitely one that you're watching through your fingers,
Yeah.
And I don't usually like that kind of, and I can't really say that I liked it. It's not something that people would enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, think about, like, I think the first time we brought this up, like, kind of like, it's a Hunger Games situation. Like, there will be one left.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like that, but I'm fascinated, because fascinated still has, like, a positive connotation in a way.
Yeah. Well, like, car wreck. Like, you can't look away, kind of.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what most people got out of it, is that it is something that it's holding up a mirror to society. We all know that, a lot of these things, there are atrocities that happen in the world, and this
Right.
is like putting it in the form of a
Yes.
game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's rough. And then let's see. Oh, Why the Last Man? That
Yes. Oh my
aired
gosh!
this year.
I just realized I never went back and finished that series.
yeah.
I
And
was
so
watching like 5 things at once, I think, when I did.
there was so many
'Cause
things
I
that came
did
out at
like
the same
it.
time.
I remember I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it kind of ends a little abruptly, and they're going to do more of it.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, it was kind of like, did I watch the last episode of that? Yeah, I did. I guess I even went back
Yeah.
and said, oh, okay, yeah.
Man, yeah, because we got into that.
But it's based on a graphic novel that I liked years and years ago, and a series of graphic novels, and it's a good premise.
It is. It's
Basically, if you're not familiar, it's about again like a weird pandemic kind of thing hits, but it strikes all of the men and
Only.
male of all the species.
Yep.
And which that's heavy.
Exactly. I mean,
just
it's just
so
it's
many things
another, yeah, it's another just, oh my gosh, scenario.
So only females are left except for
This
one guy
one guy
and his monkey.
who is a male monkey.
He's a male monkey. And so
Not a monkey that delivers mail. MALE monkey.
he's a smart monkey.
Even though that
Maybe he
would be
could.
so cute. Tiny little mail truck.
Yeah. But it's another one that, it's dark, but there is some humor in there.
Yeah.
And it flashes back to, like, this poor guy. He was not a winner in his life, you know?
Right.
And,
It's
like,
kind
he's
of
kind
like,
of
why is he even,
He does magic.
That's
You know,
right, yeah.
His name is Yorick. His parents hated him, clearly. And because it's Shakespeare references, right? So
Yep.
his sister is Hero.
That's right.
And they're both named after Shakespearean
Yep,
characters,
yep.
but he gets Yorick, which is a skull
Yeah, well,
in Hamlet. So,
I was going to say, it could have been like, I don't know.
yeah.
Mercutio would maybe be worse. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there are plenty worse that you can be.
the
But
fact
like
that it's
Yorick
the
is not
skull.
even he's not even a character. It's
Yeah.
just a reference. But it's fitting for this character because it's kind of like the inverse. He's the only one that's left alive.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, it's good.
Cool.
And then 9 Perfect Strangers,
Uh-huh.
which was imperfect,
Yeah.
but still worth
That's another
watching.
one I didn't finish.
Yeah, it was worth watching. I'll put
Yeah,
it
well,
that
and
way.
I was going to say, don't take that. Me not finishing something doesn't necessarily mean anything. I just have
Like you said, there's
a
a lot
going on,
Yeah.
and my mind wanders, and I have terrible memory on top of
Yeah.
it.
It's hard to keep up with all the things.
Yeah, it is. But that one was I didn't read the book, so I can't compare the two. And I kind of might want to read the book before
I didn't
finish
read the book
series.
either.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a Leanne Moriarty, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It's super popular, but I
Yeah.
just haven't ever really gotten into her books.
I've read a few. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it's another one where the tone is very bizarre, and it's got lots of comedic actors.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh, what's her name? Oh my gosh, we're both just staring at each
just
other. You know.
come out.
From Gilmore Girls, not one of the mains, but she was originally on Gilmore Girls and then was on like
Anyway, you probably are out there screaming.
Melissa
it.
McCarthy.
Thank you. Okay. Melissa McCarthy's in it. And it reminded me of, like, we talked recently about the Shrink Next Door. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the Shrink Next Door.
Yeah.
With Will Ferrell and Paul
Rudd,
Rudd.
yeah.
And they're all playing, like, dramatic roles. Characters that have like major problems, but there's something maniacal about just like their eyes and the fact that you can see this like simmering
and
humor and wit underneath all of it.
right.
And Melissa McCarthy has the same thing.
And I was gonna say, sometimes I feel like your sort of comedic skills can be handy in that way. Like especially if you're supposed to be like, I don't know, putting across this maniacal Yeah, crazy-eyed person.
Yeah.
I think that, like, comedy can come in handy.
Sure. Yeah. But, so, there's that. Let's see. Oh, Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
The Steve Martin Short.
That one was fun.
It was fun. Mm-hmm. It was another one that was, I don't know, not perfect. And by the end of it, I was like, okay. Because there was it was a little redundant.
Yeah.
Because they, there's red herrings and they get,
right.
Go down the wrong path a few times. And
it was one that I didn't really feel the need to binge, but I didn't, and I still watched it all the way through. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, this is nice. I wasn't devastated that I couldn't binge it.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I don't know.
There wasn't any kind of immediacy.
Right. And they did end it in a way that I don't know, something they had kind of brought up at the beginning, and then, you forget about, and then they bring it back up. And, so I'm like, interested to see what happens next, but
yeah. No, it was cute.
Nice.
Yeah,
Martin Short was the star of the show
for sure. He only eats dips.
I really want to adopt that. I'm not kidding. I love dips. Hummus.
It's just all day, every day.
Salsas.
Only hummus.
Guacamole. Give me the dips.
Fondue.
Yeah, give me the dips.
Oh gosh. And anyway, never even showed him, is he using vegetables to get the dips?
Because I want to be clear. I'm not going to eat hummus with a spoon.
You got to get something good
I need
for
the
you.
partner. Yeah.
And then there's another one that I'm currently watching that's not finished its end yet, but it's Yellow Jackets.
Oh.
And
what is that?
It's Christina Ricci, Juliette Lewis, and some other really great actresses, and they play women about my age that 20 years ago were these superstar high school champion soccer players.
Oh,
And they get on a private plane to fly to the national championships, and their plane crashes in the mountains.
Oh.
And I want to say hijinks ensue, but it is really dark.
I think I do remember you bringing this up now.
Yes.
Okay,
I talked about it, I think, after I'd only watched the first episode.
Yes, I do remember, because I kind of said, they did that show, The Wilds, not that long ago.
Yes.
It was kind of, is this the grown-up version of...
It is definitely in that same vein.
Okay.
Except this goes a more dark, supernatural, maybe, way. That one, we don't...
I didn't watch it, but I remember being intrigued after you watched it.
Yeah. So it is wild.
Okay.
But I'm there for it. I'm ready.
Noted.
And it's another one that they're only doing one a week, so I haven't binged it, but I'm waiting for it whenever it comes out. And it from the get-go, you can tell what you're in for.
Cool.
It doesn't trick you.
Yeah.
So you get from the first scene what is going to happen.
What is it streaming on?
I want to say HBO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, one final show to mention is Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, was that this year?
Yeah, or the most recent season. Yeah. It's another one that
I really enjoyed it.
I didn't expect to,
because I wasn't falling out of my seat for the first one.
Right.
But the second season was better.
Yeah. It really, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
Same.
So that's pretty much it. That's 2021 right there in a nutshell. And next we'll talk about, obviously we haven't seen or read or heard of any of these things, except we're looking forward to 2022. That's a mouthful.
It really is.
And I keep getting things from people that are saying 2020, two.
Yeah,
and we don't want that.
Funny.
No. We need to come up with a new way of saying it. But anyway, that's what's coming next.
Yep. Here we go.
So stay tuned.
See you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.